Hey, David T.S. Wood here, and welcome to my extra mile. Our comment winner is Vanessa L. And Vanessa says, oh my gosh, she said, I so needed this today. It really made me look at my life through a different lens today and really added color, texture to my tapestry. I love that. She's using my language. I love it. Adding color and texture to my tapestry. Thank you, Vanessa. The show today is a solo show with me. I was just, I made a spontaneous decision to come up to the ski hill. That's where I'm at right now. And I talk all about the juicy part of spontaneity and with a challenge for you, how to extend and make your weeks feel longer, your months feel longer, your years feel longer. So it feels like you're living a longer life through adapting and adopting spontaneity. Thank you, and we'll definitely see you on the other side. Hey there, it's David T.S. Wood here, and welcome to my extra mile. Here I am again. Just running up to the ski hill. It's funny actually, because I wasn't planning on coming up. It's Friday, and I was just downtown, went to the bank. I looked out and there's a blue sky and sunshine, and I thought, screw it. So I just jumped in the car. I didn't bring anything with me at all. I have a place up here, so shouldn't need anything, but zero plan, and just sort of, decided to come up, and that's where I'm heading. It's, oh, look at that sunshine bursting through the window. Are you kidding me? This is January the 13th. I'm recording this. I don't know when you're going to hear it, but that's when I'm recording it. I wanted to chat today. It's funny, as I started talking about this, I started thinking about something else maybe I should talk about, is maybe that spontaneity piece. Because obviously here I am. Spontaneity is creating this idea that maybe I should talk about spontaneity, and driven by the fact I just decided to drive up to the ski hill spontaneously. Yeah, it's interesting, right? It's interesting when we live a life, and it's so easy to get into habit, and it's so easy to get into routine, which, by a byproduct sort of creates a comfort zone. And everyone's doing it. I mean, we don't understand how the brain works, most of us, but the brain is constantly wanting us to be, I can't see a thing, constantly wanting us to be in that zone of comfort. And so spontaneity is something, and you could probably even identify with this. You think about the times where you did something unexpectedly. It wasn't planned, it was unexpected, you were invited out, last minute you said yes, you went and you had the very, very best time. Zero plan, but it just happened to be amazing. And I believe that as you sort of roll that back, you'll have hundreds of examples of that in your life, where the unexpected became really a beautiful sort of memory. But the way the brain's designed, and the way most of us human beings are designed, is contrary to the whole spontaneity piece. People are, and I do that with my events. I don't like to give an agenda, but I mean, half the audience is freaking out. And we hear it right now. I do a lot of consulting with this one company, and it's like, oh, leaders, they want to know what's happening. Yeah, they want to know what's happening because of that part of the brain that is going to decide whether it's good for them, and whether they can handle it, or that part of the brain that's, it gets afraid in the unknown. And that unknown zone, I always say that there are three zones: the comfort zone, the uncomfortable zone, and the unknown zone. And what I attempt to do is live my life in the unknown zone. And I always get the light on this corner always is so special. The unknown zone is where, and that all comes down to self-trust. Because, to flow in the unknown means that we trust ourselves. We trust ourselves to handle what's going to happen. We trust ourselves to navigate what's going to happen. And that's why when I travel, when I go to new cities, typically what I'll do is I'll grab the card from the front desk of the hotel and just go walk. And I like to get completely lost. invariably I always end up having on these wild adventures and discovering something I would never even thought in 1,000 years that I was gonna find. And that's that spontaneity piece. That's that, going with the flow piece that I think is so important. But again, when we understand how the brain is constantly wanting us to go into the comfort zone, then it's very, very rare for somebody to live their life or to exist and flourish in the uncomfortable zone. I'm sorry, in the unknown zone, which is this kind of thing where you're just sort of flowing with what's really happening. And what I love about the unknown zone for me, and really, I suppose, for me, the muscle was built 10.5 years traveling around the world, backpacking. I never knew where I was. I never knew where I was going. I never knew what it would be like when I got there. I didn't know what language I was going to speak or what the food was like. It was always the unknown zone. So I have actually developed this muscle, I suppose, and that's why I can bring that muscle into business. I can bring it into my work. I can bring it into when I write events. Quite often I write events and I don't even know where we're going to go. I can sort of get to a point and see what's happening and then develop the event based on what's occurring versus in my mind sitting down, pre-planning, having it all arranged, and then making sure that I follow the agenda, right? And so what I was going to say was, what if something you consider is so beautiful up here? Wow. What if something you consider right now is about, how do you bring more spontaneity? How do you just say yes to something? How do you just leave the house and just go and see what happens? See where you end up. I often do this when I'm on trips. I have no idea. I'm willing to just go, drive, discover, find out. Last year we did this in Europe, and it was so much fun. We had a blast. We ended up in Slovakia, Slovenia. We went to Budapest for a wedding, and then we just ended up driving with Slovakia, Slovenia, Vienna. Can't remember where else we went, but it was just, everything was just, let's just drive. I remember seeing a sign, driving along, we see a sign for Vienna, and we weren't planning on going there. I said, why don't we just go there and take a horse carriage ride around the city and then continue on where we're going. So it was about 60 kilometers. We drove and got there, went and got a couple of little shots of something really tasty, jumped in the back of this horse and car. I had a great time with this lady, and we did this sort of extended horse carriage ride through Vienna, and it was beautiful. No plan for doing it until we saw the sign on the road, and really no understanding where we're going to end up that night. I mean, this again, I know it sounds for a lot of you, people often have that fear of, again, the unknown and wanting to be in control, but that's not, I think, where the magic happens. The magic, that's why so many people will book their vacations to go to all-inclusives, or you get people who leave one culture and they really want to eat the same foods and do the same things as the culture they've just left, so they go to places that remind them of home. But we got to fight that urge, and I really, because fear does come up in the unknown because it's so new, you don't know what to do. But what happens is once you start to develop that ability to navigate the unknown, you start developing that self-trust to a larger degree, then it really does become fun. Because I think that sometimes you do something that if you'd planned it, maybe it's a level 5 on your scale from 1 to 10, but because it was not planned, it becomes a 10 because it was spontaneous. And it's the same thing. You did exactly the same thing, except one was planned, one wasn't planned, and one feels like a 10 and one feels like a 5 because, same old, stay in the routine, stay in the comfort zone, stay in the safety zone. That's what I should call it, the safety zone. All right. So I suppose my urge to you, look at this. My urge to you is to, how do you bring spontaneity into your life? And I've often used a flip of a coin. I mean, I think I did a video once where I was driving through England, and every single time I came to a crossroads, I flipped a coin, heads was right, tails was left, and I just saw where it took me. And of course, it took me to amazing places, always. But remember, again, going back to that idea that potentially what happens is, when you're doing it spontaneously and it's not planned, the connection to it is so much richer and so much more beautiful. So suddenly you're having a level 10 experience, and out of something that really is a level 5 experience, if that's what we can call it. So anyway, so I'm pulling up here. I'm just going to pull over for a sec because I want to finish this video. I'm just pulling up at our place here, yeah, and I can tell you lots and lots of different stories about spontaneity and how magically it. I'm just going to see where the light is good here. Where there, this is good light, right? How spontaneity sort of has sculpted my life. But I mean, I suppose being in Canada was a spontaneous act. I had no plan to come to Canada. I was hitchhiking and I saw a sign to Port Angeles and suddenly decided to go and end up sleeping on a roof the first night in Victoria, and it sort of led to the weaves and bobs and turns of this spontaneous life. And I just can tell you about the richness. It's like here, I had no idea an hour ago that I'd be sitting up here on the ski hill talking to you. And I have no idea whether I'm going to go cross-country skiing or I'm going to go snowboarding or I'm going to sit in a room. I don't have that plan. I'm just going to see what happens, see how I feel in the next moment and in the next moment. But what it is I think that ability to embrace and just say yes and sort of really drown out the noise in the head. Because I think that's really where logically, oh yeah, it's not such a good idea. What the hell does that mean? What? I got my indicator on. What does that mean? When we overthink something and we decide ahead of time whether it's good for us or not. And where does that decision process, where is it born? Where does it come from? How does that develop? Right? It just develops, from a safety perspective. It's that brain, again, if we understand how the brain works, constantly wanting to push us back into our comfort zone, that we can say, I just don't think that's going to work. Really? Why not try it? Why not embrace it? Why not go after it? Why not squeeze the juice out of it? Why not say yes to something you normally wouldn't say yes to? And follow that trail and see where it goes. And once you start feeling a little nervous or out of control, stay in it. And then look around, observe it differently, look with a new set of eyes and a new passion, and see what, I'm going to put my steering wheel down there, and see what shows up. Because for me, it's the most exciting thing is to live in a level of self-high trust where the unknown zone becomes always just the exciting part, the juicy part, the sort of the untold story. And it's not even in my head because it's the unknown zone. I don't even have a point of reference which allows me to go into the experience and be in it, because I'm observing it so differently, because it wasn't planned. I have no preconcept, so I'm absorbing it and tasting it and smelling it and hearing it differently. I'm in it fully. I'm sort of vibrating at a much higher level. So anyway, that's just a concept I thought I'd share with you, is that how do you bring more spontaneity, and it's like the week, whether whenever you see this, whether it's your next vacation or whether it's your next walk, the next walk you go on outside your house, why not flip a coin at every single crossroads and see if you can get lost in your own city? I love doing that. I still get lost everywhere, but it's just like, and discover streets you haven't walked down, because we are such creatures of habit. You probably drive to work the same way every single day. Do something that's impractical, that makes no logical sense, and just see, because it breaks up the monotony. I mean, time goes like this. And I always wonder with how people spend their vacations. And I understand traditions, but whether traditions are a good thing or not, but it is this idea, if you break up the monotony, because every year for about 10 years I attempted to spend Christmas in a different way, different country, different culture, and it's amazing because they stand out like so big. And when I've done the same Christmas now for 5 or 6 years, I can't determine really which one was which. They just sort of meld together, which means my time feels shorter. It feels like the years are passing faster because I'm kind of I'm pre-thinking and planning and repeating similar things over and over again versus being spontaneous, being in the moment, allowing new things. And when you have a spontaneous day, and I can think of, every single country in the world I go to where spontaneity has led me. In fact, maybe I'll do the next show, I'll do a story about a spontaneous day where you can sort of hear how incredibly juicy it is. And it's almost unbelievable. If I didn't have photographs for some of this shit, you wouldn't believe me anyway, because it sounds too ridiculous. But I'm getting excited because I think some of you who are listening right now can grasp this. And don't let your brain talk you out of it. Imagine if you could make a day feel like 2 days, or make a week feel like 2 weeks, or make a month feel like 2 months, or a year feel like 2 normal years, because you add more spontaneity and more vibrancy, more saying yes to things, more and addressing the sort of the uncertainty and the fears, because again, it will bring the brain in. You're not on autopilot anymore, just going through life. Even driving to work a different way every day. I try that 7 days in a row. Tried 7 different routes. And just see where the hell you went. You go, oh my God, I didn't know this was here. That happens all the time. I didn't know that. Oh my God, look at this park. I'm going to bring the kids there and go to the park now, right? So anyway, I hope you enjoyed that. Spontaneity rocks. I'm about to go and have a spontaneous whatever I'm going to do. I have no idea how long I'm going to be here. I have no plan. No one knows I'm here except you now. Anyway, and I'll definitely see you. Actually, before that, please push the notification button, because if you don't get the notifications, and then you don't know the show's there, and it really sucks. So please push that. If you can share the show with 3 people, that would really, really be beautiful. And of course, get involved with the conversation. I'll always answer you back. I've been a bit lazy the last little while on answering the comments, only because of different things. But I promise I'll be back there soon. And remember, this about those small incremental steps, tiny little changes we can make that bring the juice and the vibrancy into our life. So we'll definitely see you on the other side.